What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's George Obi Diego here with Growing with Obi. Now, you guys are about to see a video that I just put together, and it's going to be the making of this garden box. And I'm going to give you guys a little update on how it did, but you're going to see the beginning process of it. So I made this garden box out of a me and my wife's wedding arch there, which is the brown arch in the back, and some scrap wood we used. You'll see a clip of the compost box. So I made a compost box out of wood. We used the scrap wood. To make this, I wanted to put something together, something little, to kind of get the first baby steps into the raised bed gardens that we're going to be doing here. So this is our first byproduct, and it actually turned out pretty successful. We're still waiting on some plants, fruit, and you'll see the update towards the end of the video. But yeah, so this is the video here. It's 50 degrees here today in Naples, Florida, so I'm a little chilly. I got my little sweater on. It's not too bad. It's actually really nice, but it's a little too cold for me to be out here in short sleeves. But yeah, stay tuned for this video. It's gonna be really fun. I'll show you guys an update of how it did, and let's get growing. All right, so here's the scrap wood we used from the compost box, and this is our wedding arch right here that we used as well. We had some pallet wood strewn about the yard, so we used that as well. And I started this box by putting in the sideboards, the sides of the garden box, just to kind of lay out the framework. Now, I didn't quite have a piece of wood that was long enough to span across the front of the board, so I had to kind of make this makeshift middle pillar in between the two sides, and it actually turned out to be pretty sturdy and pretty strong. And we're using the good old hammer and nail. Can't get better than the hammer and nail here. So it was a pretty solid structure, and you'll see the final product here in a second. I was actually pleased with how the garden box turned out to look, and it was actually pretty solid. Because we're not striving for perfection. But here's the final product. It looks pretty good. It's not beautiful by any means, but it's beautiful to me. So that's all that really matters. Next, we went with the twine. We started our twine project. And if you see across the top of the arch, I hammered in some nails. I didn't get any good clips of me doing that, so I couldn't show you how I did it. But similar to how I'm doing on the sides, just hammering in nails. And I did 4 rows across the top and then 3 rows down the side. And I made a mistake here because I probably should have interwoven the twine from side to side, and the horizontal ones and the vertical ones. But, it turned out okay. I think the interweaving the vertical and the horizontal lines would have made things a little bit more solid, but all in all, it did pretty good. So here is what the strings look like when I've completed this portion of the garden box. It actually didn't look too bad. All right, so next is the soil mixture we put into the garden boxes here. And this is a mixture of cow manure, garden soil, peat moss, and vermiculite. Right here in this lovely yellow bag, I'm pouring in black cow manure. Next, I'll be adding in some generic gardening soil and some peat moss on top of that. And then you'll see me here at the end, right after I pour the rest of the garden soil in, I'm adding vermiculite by hand. So what this does, this mixture provides is some good water retention through the vermiculite, some good drainage from the peat moss, and good nutrients from the garden soil and cow manure. Next, I'm shoveling this into the garden box, and I'm trying to shovel these loads on top of the vertical strings so it pulls the strings to be nice and tight. So that way when I plant the seeds have a solid, tight string to grow up on, so they're supported well when they get bigger. Ideally, this mix would be good to have compost in, but I didn't have any good compost ready at the time. So we'll be doing that in our next garden box. And here I'm just leveling everything out, cleaning it all off, and here is the final product. And next we'll be planting the seeds and adding our fertilizer. First seed I planted here is actually snow snap pea. You can see from my very old and faded packet. So I'm planting this seed in here, and I'm putting 3 close by each other, putting them about 1 inch deep. Next, I'll be adding another variety of snow snap pea, which again I'll be planting 3 of, putting them about 1 inch deep in the soil. These plants are great because when they start to grow up, they have tendril-like arms that'll attach to vertical structures, so they will be very well supported by the string here. Next, I'll be planting a pickling variety of cucumber, which I'm very excited about because I've always wanted to pickle a good pickling cucumber. And how many times can I say pickle in 30 seconds? We'll find out. But I plant this about 1/2 inch deep and cover it up. And finally, we'll be adding to the garden box a nice variety of green beans, which you plant about 1 inch deep in the soil, and they're also a great vining plant, which grow well on vertical structures. Next is watering. So I sprinkle some fertilizer on top. Those are the white patches. Make sure to get some good nutrients to the seeds. And I made sure that all the soil in the box was well watered, not too damp, but nice and moist. So now that the seeds are planted, we're on to the final phase of the project, which is sending that love and good energy to the seeds, baby. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying some prayers, doing some rituals, bringing in some light and some good energy, sending this energy to the seeds for good growth and good harvest. I believe we have a very powerful and symbiotic relationship with nature, so we got to continue to share that bond in the relationship we have with nature. And you see me here finally reaching down with the energy, pulling it up and asking the seeds to sprout, reach for the sky. So this is the final product. I'm super pleased with how it turned out, and stay tuned for the update. So there you guys have it. That was the video. It was a pretty simple process. It took me a couple days to do it because I had to kind of do it in the morning before work, and I only had like an hour, at a time, 45 minutes at a time. So I kind of had to do it over the course of like 2 to 3 days. But it was a very easy process. If I did it in one day, it'd probably take me like maybe an hour or 2 hours. The hardest part really was getting the garden box measured out and to be stable. And then the twine was really tough. And we're gonna talk about the twine when I show you the update of how the plants did. All right, so let's go ahead and check that out. So coming up to the garden here, everything did pretty well, I will say. So we had a little mishap. So, and I'll talk about that here in a second, but if you take a look, we got a green bean plant, which we already got some green beans coming in. These are almost done. Got a couple more down here, some babies forming right there. Yeah, they're growing pretty good. We're gonna have a decent little harvest with the green beans, which I'm really excited about. And then if you look closely, there's a snow snap pea plant growing up on the green beans here, as well as right over here. We got a little San Marzano tomato coming up here and right here, as well as another snow pea plant, another tomato, and then cucumber, which the flowers are getting ready to bloom here. So we'll be trying to pollinate those there in a second, which is awesome. So everything I planted has grown. The snow and snap peas haven't fruited yet. The tomatoes are still kind of in the early stages. The cucumbers are getting ready to flower, so we're going to be able to pollinate and fruit those. The green beans have been doing that on their own. I think I give them another 2 weeks, we'll get a decent harvest out of it. So everything's looking pretty good. The mishap I was talking about is if you watch the video, you'll see when I planted the seeds, I put them at the base of each of these strings. And if you notice in the video, I planted the strings into the dirt. Well, the string that I used, it didn't do too well. So once I started watering the soil, the string essentially got very weak and thin, and the fiber started to like waste away, so they snapped. So they were tight because they were at the bottom of the bed covered by the soil. But like I said, they wasted away and they snapped, so they became flimsy. So what I did is I had to tie this little bottom cross line in, and it's doing okay. But if you look, see how it's like slack? I just don't have it tight enough. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to kind of tighten the string up. I might have to use a different kind of string next time, but it was a good test experiment. That's one of the mishaps. There's actually another mishap, and the other mishap is my dog, actually, who you saw in the beginning of the intro. Lucy, that's her name, troublemaker, I mean, I love her to death. She when I put the fertilizer in the bed, I use that Garden Tone organic fertilizer for vegetables. And it has a very funny smell to it because it's got like blood meal in it, and it's got like alfalfa meal. It's got like a mixture of all these different ground up, veggies and things. So it has a funky smell to it. And my dog, Lucy, loves funny smells. So she's always smelling things. So when I put it in, and you see in the video those little sprinkling white patches, that's where I put the fertilizer in. I should have put it in where the seeds were, but I forgot to do that. So I had to put it on top. So my dog Lucy really wanted to get a little sniff of that. So I caught her multiple times in the bed before the plants grew up, just kind of rummaging around. And then essentially what she did was, I think she threw the seeds all about. So some of the seeds, like I remember planting this tomato plant right here, this one right here, this was actually planted over here with that tomato plant. And then this snap pea was actually over here with that snap pea plant. Or snow pea, excuse me. So what she did was kind of give the seeds a little jumble, but all in all, I think it turned out really well. Like, I'm pretty pleased with this. This has been about a month to about a month and a half. Actually, I'd say coming up on 2 months of progress in the garden, and it looks really good. I'm actually super happy with the results. The snap snow pea plant looks a little unhealthy. There's some things I got to tend to a little bit, but I've been out here like every day, every other day, just checking on it, making sure it's good, making sure it gets good watering. I actually need to sprinkle some more fertilizer down on it, but everything's doing pretty well. I'm actually super pleased with the results. So I'm excited to see what it's going to look like in about another month. But when we get our first harvest of whatever plant, which is most likely going to be the green beans, once we get the harvest, I'll be able to show you guys what the harvest looks like. And then I'm going to make a little video about, throwing it in the skillet and cooking it. So all in all, I think the box turned out pretty good for from me and my wife's wedding arch and some scrap wood. So it just goes to show, guys, you can really use anything to build in a garden. And it was a really fun process to do it. So we got some more projects coming up here in the channel. You guys will be seeing the videos. We're gonna turn a couple areas around here into raised garden beds, and we got some more fun videos coming up in the future. So thank you guys for tuning in. Again, this is George with Growing with Obi. Let's get growing, and then we'll stay tuned. We'll see you guys for the next video. God bless.